The green flag says everybody is in position. It's a 1 hour race and it's on. And the front row moves as one, but a wonderful start from Dario Franchitti in the middle of the front row. Justin Law trying to go to the outside in the Lister, going round Ludovic Lindsay, and it's Dario Franchitti who has the lead. Off goes the Desiree Wilson Daytona Cobra, which was on the grass at Madgwick. It's got back onto the circuit, but the leader is certainly Dario Franchitti, with Ludovic Lindsay having made not such a good start, establishing himself in second place. The Ferrari of Bobby Rahal coming through to third now, and one of the Corvettes has moved up into fourth as Dario Franchitti locks up a break going into St Mary's, and that's allowing Ludovic Lindsay to get very close indeed. Ludovic Lindsay, who knows this circuit so well, looking down the inside at Lavant Corner. They're side by side. The Ferrari is still third. The Corvette is in fourth place. That's the John Young car. And then it's the red E-type of, I think, Tiffany Dell, but the grey E-type is the leader. That's the car of Dario Franchitti, with Ludovic Lindsay on his tail as they come now hard on the brakes down into Woodcote Corner. Once more Ludovic Lindsay looks at the inside. It's not going to do it though, and Dario Franchitti holds a wider line, holds the lead as they come down into the chicane for the first time. It's a 1 hour race, and they all funnel through this magnificent Goodwood chicane and out again, hard on the power down the long straight, down to Madgwick Corner for the second time. And at the front, it's still Franchitti's lightweight E-type from Ludovic Lindsay's lightweight E-type, the Ferrari of Bobby Rahal in third place. John Young's Corvette it is, that's the white and red one, in fourth. Then it's Tiffany Dell, who started extremely well in the red E-type, and in sixth place, another of the E-types. We've got number 29 in the pits. That's Christian Glazel's Cobra, which didn't last very long. Also one of the Corvettes coming in as well. So already pit activity. That's the Peter Brock Corvette in the pits, but now this battle of the E-types going on at the front, with Bobby Rahal in third place in the Ferrari, but the E-types battling. Dario Franchitti, the leader, Ludovic Lindsay still in second place, then Bobby Rahal's Ferrari, and John Young in fourth place in the number 31 Corvette. Tiffany Dell fifth in the E-type, sixth David Franklin's E-type. Justin Law, who started fourth on the grid, is down in seventh place in the cost-embodied coupe Lister Jaguar. He's just ahead of Desiree Wilson, despite the fact that Desiree had a big moment. 11 is back up, that's Peter Brock, the Australian touring car hero, as the cars complete their second lap, and Dario Franchitti is stretching his legs and moving out in front. Ludovic Lindsay still in second place. Dario Franchitti, who will share this car with Emanuele Pirro. E-type, Ferrari, Corvette Stingray. None of the ACs featuring in the top four at the moment. And the Lister still not going particularly quickly. Justin Law down in seventh place, which is quite a surprise because that's a very rapid car indeed. And Justin Law, of course, is a very rapid driver, knows Goodwood extremely well. Well, that's Dario Franchitti, hugely experienced driver, of course, a great star of North American racing. But although he's not used to historic racing, he's settling into this historic E-type very happily. That's the Christian Glazel Daytona Cobra, which started from the pit lane, has been giving trouble since before the race. And Christian Glazel, who was due to share that car with Martin Stretton, obviously already a very, very long way behind. Dario Franchitti in the pale grey E-type, the first ever lightweight E-type, which was run by John Coombs with a lot of factory support, raced by Roy Salvadori and Graham Hill. And then behind him, Ludovic Lindsay in the Peter Lumsden, Peter Sargent low drag E-type, with still Bobby Rahal third, still John Young in fourth place. That's Ferrari and that red and white Corvette. David Franklin has moved into fifth place now in another of the 2 coupe E-types in this race that are owned by Michael Cowdray. And there's Justin Law leading Desiree Wilson. Just behind them, Mark Seurer in the white Corvette Stingray, number 30, and Patrick Tambay, actually Nicolas Manassian driving that car, number 5, who is next up, and he's in 10th place. Now, Dario Franchitti has now got Ludovic Lindsay a lot closer. This is a long race. It's a 1-hour race, which by Goodwood standards is virtually an endurance race, so a lot of time to win this race. But nevertheless, Ludovic Lindsay does not want to let Dario Franchitti get away. It looks as though they're wheeling away Christian Glazel's Daytona Cobra, so that's a shame. The car's now on their 4th lap. And the front 2 pretty equally spaced. The official gap about 3/4 of a second as they cross the start-finish line. Bobby Rahal a further 1.3 seconds behind. John Young in that thunderous red and white Corvette, still in 4th place. 2 6-cylinder cars leading, a V12 car in 3rd place, and a V8, a thunderous V8 Corvette in 4th place. That's John Young. Then it's David Franklin's E-type, and that's the number 23 E-type of Tiffany Dell, which has come into the pits with some sort of problem. That's a great shame, because Tiffany Dell started extremely well in that car which was driven in its early days by none other than Jackie Stewart, who's celebrating his 40th anniversary of Grand Prix winning here today. And now Ludovic Lindsay is starting to put the pressure on Dario Franchitti. Ludovic Lindsay is settling into a nice groove in that long-nosed, long-tailed, dark green E-type, a very aerodynamic car. The standard E-type shape designed by Malcolm Sayer, but the people helping Lumsden and Sargent thought that they had ways of making it even more slippery. If you look at the front of the car, the nose is longer. If you look at the back of the car, it's very long roofed. And a bit of a sideways moment there for Ludovic Lindsay as he comes out of the chicane. That lost him a little bit of time, so the gap as they cross the start-finish line to start their 6th lap is just about half a second. Rahal 3rd, John Young 4th in the Corvette, David Franklin's E-type 5th, Desiree Wilson still 6th in that number 13 Daytona Cobra, and David Franklin going extremely well in 5th place, just ahead of Desiree Wilson. The number 5 Corvette, sorry, the number 5 Cobra, which is being driven by Nicolas Manassian, will be shared with Patrick Tambay. That's putting Desiree Wilson under a lot of pressure in the number 13 Daytona. And this is the battle for the lead. Ludovic Lindsay pushing very hard, not making any sign of trying to overtake yet, just keeping the pressure on Dario Franchitti. 2 tremendously fine drivers, but with very different backgrounds. Dario Franchitti, of course, has gone all the way up the professional ladder. Ludovic Lindsay, a man who races for fun in all manner of historic cars, from ERA up to this wonderful E-type of Viscount Cowdrays. And they're in the chicane now, about to lap some of the back markers. And Bobby Rahal's not far behind in that red Ferrari with the yellow flash at the top of the windscreen. Bobby Rahal winding them in a little bit. Bobby Rahal's just set his fastest lap of the race. Not quite the fastest lap all the way through, which is currently in the hands of Ludovic Lindsay in 2nd place. But Bobby Rahal closing the gap a little bit on that lap. And the co-drivers of all these cars watching nervously from the pits. We understand that Bobby Rahal in that 3rd-placed Ferrari is prepared to have a tyre change as well as a driver change when he comes in to stop. Very professional stuff. Bobby Rahal, of course, not only a top Indianapolis driver, he won the Indy 500, but also a man who has run a Formula One team for Jaguar. And as they go through the back markers, this could give an opportunity for Dario Franchitti to get a little bit of an advantage. They're just lapping one of the Corvettes there, and briefly Ludovic Lindsay was delayed there, and that has given Franchitti a little bit more of an advantage. Bobby Rahal squeezing past the red Corvette as well. They come down now to the chicane for the 7th time. And these three, this leading trio, pulling away. The red E-types come back into the pits. Obviously Tiffany Dell's problem's not sorted, but the leading trio, there is the Tiffany Dell car back in the pits. But the leading trio are, if anything, closer together as a three-car group than they were before, because Bobby Rahal is starting to fly now. Still Dario Franchitti the leader, still Ludovic Lindsay in second place, still Bobby Rahal in the 330 LMB Ferrari in third. 1963 car. Lovely lines out of St Mary's for the three leaders. A lot of smoke from that Corvette that they've just lapped. Conditions absolutely perfect here at Goodwood because the rain has held off. It's now overcast. The sky has clouded over a little bit, which gets the temperatures down, makes it easier for the drivers in these hot enclosed cockpits, also makes it a little bit easier for the tyres. There's that lovely Ferrari number 21 of Bobby Rahal. A bit of a sideways moment for Ludovic Lindsay as he chases Dario Franchitti out of Woodcote. Now they're in the chicane once more. And always the back markers are something to worry about. That's one of the 250 GT Ferraris. That's Ned Spiker's car. And through Madgwick Corner, such a wonderful, long, undulating corner. Meanwhile, Nicolas Manassian is really flying. He's brought the number 5 Cobra up to 6th place, ahead of Desiree Wilson. Justin Law down in 8th place now. Desiree Wilson 7th in the Daytona Cobra. 6th now is Nicolas Manassian, the very rapid French driver. And now Ludovic Lindsay making a real effort there at St Mary's. Ludovic Lindsay is putting the pressure on. He's having a little nibble at the inside as they go into Lavant Corner. He was briefly level, and he gets level again on the second apex of Lavant. Dario Franchitti has him absolutely alongside, but Franchitti has the line for that left-hand kink on the Lavant straight. It's a straight, or it's a flat-out section of the course, but if you're on the left, you can just get a slightly shorter line through that kink. Then they're back on the brakes again for Woodcote Corner, past the old airfield buildings, and now into the chicane once more. But Dario Franchitti is having to drive his heart out to keep Ludovic Lindsay behind him, and the battle that the two of them are having is helping Bobby Rahal in 3rd place, because he's able to take the ideal lines. He's not having to drive defensively, and he can just wind them in. John Young's 4th placed Corvette there, the red and white Corvette number 31, which he will share with John Fitzpatrick, lapping the Ned Spiker red 250 GTO Ferrari, and a lot of slower cars ahead of the flying trio that are at the front of the race now. The blue flags waving from the marshals. That means there are faster cars behind you. You must keep out of the way. You must watch your mirrors as the leaders come through, and all of them do. There's a problem for the Henri Pescarolo Corvette Stingray, which was smoking badly. It looked like a locked wheel. And I think Pescarolo is going to park the number 12 Corvette Stingray. That's a shame. Yes, a lot of smoke from the engine. That car didn't last very long. They're on their 10th lap now. But the great Henri Pescarolo, so often a Le Mans winner, so often a competitor at Le Mans. I think he's done more Le Mans 24-hour races than anybody else. But his TT is over. Now, as they lap Kevin Kivlochen's AC Cobra. Briefly, the Kivlochen Cobra holds up inadvertently the Bobby Rahal Ferrari before Bobby Rahal is able to get alongside the metallic blue Cobra and set about making up the moment that it lost. If you come into the chicane, you can be lucky or unlucky if you're held up by a back marker, or if you can use that back marker to hold up the man you're fighting with. Rupert Keegan keeping out of the way in his Ferrari 250 GT Lusso actually gets his hand out of the window and waves them by, this battling trio, with still Dario Franchitti in the grey ex-John Coombs E-type. And we've got a driver change already for number 28. That's Jochen Mass relieving Justin Law. Quite a surprise. Justin Law so quick normally here at Goodwood. The race has not been going for more than 10 laps, but Justin Law's decided he wants to come in and let Jochen Mass take over. So the great German former Formula One driver takes over from Justin Law in the Lister Coupe, and still the battle going on at the front. Dario Franchitti in the pale grey E-type. Ludovic Lindsay in the dark green long-tailed E-type. And then Bobby Rahal in the red 330 LMB Ferrari sliding through Woodcote to keep up with them. Lost a little bit of time through the back markers, did Bobby Rahal. He seems to have made most of it up now as they come through the chicane and over the start-finish line to start their 11th lap now. Still in 4th place is the John Young Corvette, but the 5th place battle is now becoming worth watching, because Nicola Manassian, in the car he will share with Patrick Tambay, is starting to close now on David Franklin, who is in the number 24 lightweight E-type, the other of Viscount Kadri's entries. There's in the pits Chris Phillips, and he's already handing over to Barry Williams. Barry Williams in the orange helmet, clambering abroad. There's not a lot of room in an AC Cobra, but once you've got yourself in, you've then got to get your seatbelts done up, and that needs a bit of help from the mechanic. Barry Williams, very, very experienced. He's been racing just about anything for more than 40 years. Barry Williams gets out into the race, and that car well down the field now. In fact, almost at the tail of the field, so Barry Williams has got a lot of work to do. And our leaders a little bit more space this time as they come through Woodcote Corner. Dario Franchitti still leading this race, as he has since the beginning, when he jumped into the lead from the middle of the front row. Pole position man Ludovic Lindsay in 2nd place, and the man who started from the outside of the front row, the American Bobby Rahal, still in 3rd. Dario Franchitti, of course, from Scotland, despite his name, although he's now settled in North America and has built an enormously successful American racing career. But great to see him here at Goodwood, and it's wonderful to see these current professionals from Formula One and Le Mans type racing taking to historic racing so happily. It's very different from what they do on most weekends, but they love the atmosphere of Goodwood, and they love getting in these cars which are 40 years or more old, a lot of them older than the drivers themselves. Franchitti out of St Mary's, down towards Lavant, that long, long right-hander which leads onto the Lavant Straight. So vital to get the perfect line through Lavant. If you come out of Lavant quickly, you have more speed down the Lavant Straight. And that's the Aston Martin of Chip Connor, the lovely Zagato-bodied Aston Martin, one of only 19 built. Chip Connor handing over now to Rob Wilson. And yet again, Ludovic Lindsay starts to close up. They're just lapping the Anthony Bamford entered, Joe Bamford driven Ferrari GTO, the 64 model. And briefly that runs ahead of the 330 LMB. Joe Bamford keeping over to the left of the road to allow Bobby Rahal a clear run through. And Barry Williams is straight back into the pits with the #1 Cobra. So obviously Chris Phillips brought it in. He wasn't happy with the car. He said to Barry Williams, you have a go and see if you can make it work. And Barry Williams has brought it straight back in. You see the big trumpets of those Ford twin-choke Weber carburetors feeding the 5-litre V8. And the fantastic progress of Nicolas Manassian has brought him right up to battle with the 4th-placed red and white Corvette. The blue Cobra that you see behind this red and white Corvette, driven by the young Frenchman Nicolas Manassian, and he has come storming through. He was back in about 8th or 9th place at the end of the first lap, but he's worked and worked, and he's brought that car up through the field, and now John Young has got him looming in the mirrors of the red and white Corvette. Nicolas Manassian in 5th place, John Young 4th in that Corvette. Still Bobby Rahal, Ludovic Lindsay and Dario Franchitti, the leader, well in front of them in that leading trio. But John Young starting to get very out of shape with the red and white Corvette. He's absolutely flinging it through the corners in his efforts to stay ahead of Nicolas Manassian. And there are 3 leaders once more. They start their 15th lap. 1.3 seconds is Dario Franchitti's lead now, with Bobby Rahal about another half a second behind in that lovely red Ferrari. So Ludovic Lindsay has lost a little bit of the contact that he had with Dario Franchitti, and now is starting to worry about the Ferrari, which is looming very close. It's always easier to pursue a car than to try and keep a car behind you, because when you drive defensively, you have to keep the door shut, perhaps drive slightly more conservative lines to make sure that you don't leave the door open anywhere. And that means that Dario Franchitti in the lead can relax a bit. Now here's this battle for 4th place. The red and white Corvette, the silver, blue and white Cobra. The Corvette driven by John Young, the Cobra driven by the Frenchman Nicolas Manassian. And he is certainly closing. Let's look at the lap times. Well, he's making up about half a second a lap on the Corvette. It looks like more than that, because now he's getting very close as he gets on the brakes very late for Lavant Corner. Both of the cars sliding wonderfully. Nicolas Manassian, you can see him through the window working at the wheel of this left-hand drive Corvette, runs up over the curb on the apex, the second apex of the corner. That delays him briefly, just knocks the Cobra a little bit offline. They have very hard suspension and rather wide tyres, but now he's really tucked into the slipstream. He's going to get a tow from the big Corvette with the air behind the car, and that, with very late braking, allows him to creep ever closer to John Young. Wonderful battle for 4th place between John Young and Nicolas Manassian. Now they're pounding down the start-finish straight, and as John Young moves to the left of the road to take the ideal line, so Manassian goes up the inside, leaves his braking very late. They're side by side all the way through Madrid Corner, and Manassian's done it. A wonderful move by the Frenchman, and Nicolas Manassian goes into 4th place, demoting the Corvette of John Young to 5th. He just wound him in, and then as they came down into Madrid, it was a line up the inside, a late break, and Nicolas Manassian showed why he is a professional racing driver with that move. But John Young is not letting him get away, still keeping into contact. These big V8 cars, so exciting to watch round Goodwood, because although Goodwood's only 2.4 miles around, and although it's got a very tight corner in the chicane, most of it is a quick circuit. Fordwater is a fast corner, Lavant is quite a fast corner, Woodcote is pretty quick. And there are the leaders now, just swallowing up one of the slower Cobras. That's the car that Derek Bell is driving, number 2, and he is lapped by the leaders. Dario, and into the pits we've got our leader, Dario Franchitti, in the pits. Franchitti helps to strap in Emanuele Pirro, who takes over that car. So they've had their pit stop. He's rather slow away. Has he stalled it? No, he's underway now. So Dario Franchitti out of the number 25 Jaguar, and Emanuele Pirro in So Pirro rejoins. We'll be able to tell you in a moment where he has rejoined, but that means, oh, and we've got a problem for one of the Ferraris. Which one is it? That's the Bobby Rahal car. Bobby Rahal going way off the circuit, bringing a lot of mud back onto the circuit. Bobby Rahal getting it completely wrong at St Mary's. So while Ludovic Lindsay celebrates his new lead, because Dario Franchitti stopped and handed over to his co-driver Emanuele Pirro, a big moment there. In fact, he was attacking Ludovic Lindsay for the lead, was Bobby Rahal at St Mary's. It didn't come off, and he went very wide all over the grass, bounced over the curb, came back onto the circuit, came back right in front of one of the Corvettes indeed. So Rahal has thrown away his second place. Well, I say he has, but he's not far away, and I think, have we got the leader in the pits now? Ludovic Lindsay's in the pits as well. It's all happening. Gerhard Berger, the great Formula One star of not very long ago, gets very rapidly into the car. They're all taking this race so seriously, and he is being buckled in by his mechanic. So Ludovic Lindsay out, Gerhard Berger in, Joe Bamford bringing in his GTO Ferrari behind, but there goes Gerhard Berger to rejoin. The boot lid's meant to be open. It helps to cool the rear differential. That's Joe Bamford's car being getting a driver change as well, handing over to Gregor Fiskin. But this is Gerhard Berger, former teammate of Ayrton Senna, and that means, despite that extraordinary moment across the grass at St Mary's, that this car, the number 21 Ferrari, is now in the lead. That's Bobby Rahal. And in second place, we've got Nicolas Manassian in the number 5 Cobra, which Manassian has been driving so well. He's now up into second place. John Young's Corvette is third. Desiree Wilson in the number 13 Daytona AC Cobra is in fourth place. That's Paul Drayson stopping to hand over to Rauno Aaltonen, the original Flying Finn, former European Rally champion, former winner of the Monte Carlo Rally. And so Bobby Rahal now well out in front. He's going to share this car with Peter Hardman, who's another very, very quick man. But Bobby Rahal still working away. Nicolas Manassian is up to second. John Young is third. And Desiree Wilson is fourth. And I can tell you that the number 25 E-type, which has already made its driver change, that was the former leader Dario Franchitti's car, now driven by Emanuele Pirro, they're up to fifth place despite that pit stop. In sixth place, it's the number 6 AC Cobra, the red one, driven by John Whitmore. He will hand over to its owner Sean Lynn in due course. But still Bobby Rahal staying out. He's completed 18 laps. He's got an 18-second lead over Nicolas Manassian in the number 5 Cobra. And the Kevin Kivlochen AC Cobra is being black flagged. We don't know why. It's going to have to come into the pits for some reason. Look at Bobby Rahal cutting it so fine, going through the Woodcote corner, just running over the curb. And Desiree Wilson in fourth place. The former leader, Emanuele Pirro, up to fifth. He's made his pit stop. There is the Kevin Kivlochen car making its pit stop. Tony Jardine climbing aboard, being strapped in. And there is the number 5 Cobra, which has been absolutely flying. Nicolas Manassian just ahead of John Young, who hasn't given up. He's just as close. So Nicolas Manassian sawing away at the wheel, getting the car sideways, keeping his boot in at Madgwick. And John Young even more sideways behind him. They're about to lap the number 19 Ferrari, which is Stuart Graham in the GTO of Nick Mason. And Stuart Graham, a very experienced driver, former TT winner on 2 wheels and 4, keeping out of the way. That is the number 6 Cobra. John Whitmore out, Sean Lynn in. And still this wonderful battle for what is now second place between the Cobra and the Corvette. Nicola Manassian, the blue Cobra with the big white stripes, and the red and white Corvette being driven by John Young. And he's gone off! That's John Young getting it completely wrong. Is he going to keep going? No, whatever it was that sent him off, I don't know if it was a puncture or some sort of failure. We think the rear wheels come off. So that is the end of John Young's trip. Sterling Moss, meanwhile, being strapped into the number 15 Ferrari 250 GTO. Yes, the left rear wheel came off, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. Well, the wheel's still on, but the tyre has clearly collapsed. So there's nothing that John Young can do about that. What a shame. He was going so well, battling for second place with Nicola Manassian. And in fact, Nicola Manassian, number 5, is now our leader. He's on the 21st lap because Bobby Rahal is in the pits. Rahal out of number 21. Peter Hardman, who knows this car extremely well, gets in. Hardman ready to go, but there's a bit of a traffic jam in the pits. The marshal is holding him, or the mechanic rather, holds him. Now they're doing something to the back of the car. Are they changing tyres? We think they are changing the rear tyres, and it's not going very rapidly. This is not exactly a Formula One standard pit stop. That's a great shame, because that delay is really going to ruin the race for the number 31 Ferrari, and that means that Nicola Manassian, the number 5 Cobra, is now in the lead. I say comfortably in the lead, or I was about to, but it's only 6 seconds or less from Desiree Wilson, the all-girl entry. Desiree Wilson and Lynn St. James in the number 13 Daytona Cobra. They've been going extremely well, and they're in second place. And up into third, despite having already made its pit stop, is the number 25 Jaguar with Emanuele Pirro now at the wheel. They're looking very strong indeed, because they've already done their stop, and you can see the grey E-type not far behind us. Into the pits at last comes Nicola Manassian. Nicola Manassian in the pits to hand over to the great Patrick Tambay, a man who had a long and distinguished Formula One career. Patrick Tambay clambering into the very tight cockpit. He could barely squeeze in. They've got to try and strap him in. The mechanic's helping to get on the seat belts. When you've got a roll cage and seat belts in the tight cockpit of an AC Cobra, it doesn't leave a lot of room. But Patrick Tambay is in. They've got him strapped in. The car is away. Patrick Tambay takes over the number 5 AC Cobra, which Nicola Manassian has driven so well. So Tambay looks in his mirror, makes sure there's nobody behind him as he comes out and into Madgwick, and meanwhile there is the number 25 car, and of course it is now in the lead. Emanuele Pirro in the lightweight E-type number 25. He's made his pit stop. This is Bernie Carl's lightweight E-type, a very famous car, raced by so many people in its early days, run by the John Coombs team, driven by Salvadori, driven by Graham Hill, driven by Brian Redman later on. And Emanuele Pirro, a driver of tremendous experience, and he gets very sideways among the back markers. He's trying to get past Vincent Gay's Ferrari, and Vincent Gay doesn't really want to let him by, and that delayed Emanuele Pirro quite badly. And the Ferrari still seems to be quite quick in a straight line. Number 19 is the Stuart Graham Mark Hale's Ferrari GTO, which is almost able to unlap himself on Emanuele Pirro, because Pirro was quite badly delayed there. Now, what about the number 26 Jaguar? That is up to second place. Gerhard Berger reappears in second place. So, interestingly enough, we've got the first two in the same order that they were earlier on, because Emanuele Pirro in number 25, Gerhard Berger in that car, number 26. They were first and second when they were being driven by Dario Franchitti and Ludovic Lindsay, and they're still in first and second place. The third placed car is currently Mark Seure's white Corvette Stingray, which hasn't stopped yet, we think. And in fourth place, the number 9 Aston Martin DB4 GT. Oh, and a big moment there for Emanuele Pirro, who's getting a little bit untidy, not quite as smooth as Dario Franchitti was. He's settling into this car, but he's got the lead and he doesn't want to throw it away by being untidy as he comes through the back markers. Classic E-type shape, the open two-seater E-type with the little factory hard top, and down into the chicane comes Emanuele Pirro to complete his 23rd lap now, which he does. And we wait to see Gerhard Berger in the number 26 Jaguar to see how big Emanuele Pirro's lead might be. Fastest lap of this race so far set by Dario Franchitti, and there is the second place car of Gerhard Berger, and the gap is 15.8 seconds. Gerhard Berger 15.8 seconds behind Emanuele Pirro in second place. Still in third place, the white Stingray, which hasn't stopped yet, of Mark Schurer. And still in fourth place, the Aston Martin DB4 GT, not one of the fastest cars in this race, but being brilliantly driven by Jackie Oliver. He's in fourth place, but that car still has to stop. Whereas in fifth place, we've got the number 5 Cobra, which has stopped, and that's got Patrick Tambay at the wheel. It was the car started by Nicola Manasseh. And we've got a safety car coming out onto the circuit. We think that's because there is the safety car, and just like in a Formula 1 race, the safety car is going to slow the cars up while they move the stranded Corvette Stingray of John Young, which is in a rather dangerous position. Nothing that John Young could do about it. The tyre let go at a very awkward moment. He managed to keep the car pointing in one direction, but of course he had to stop. Now what this is going to do is close everybody up, of course, because the safety car cannot be overtaken. So everybody will close up behind the safety car while the hard-worked Goodwood marshals move that stranded Corvette Stingray. So the John Young Corvette still parked just on the outside of Lavant, and that's a long and fast right-hander, and it's not a nice place for the car to be left. You can see it's well in front of the safety tyre wall, which is meant to stop errant cars. So very wisely, the BARC, who run this meeting, have decided that they should move that car. Now Mark Schurer has stopped. You see his red helmet with the broad white stripes, just as it was when he was racing in Formula 1, very distinguished Formula 1 career of a few years ago, then became the competition's boss at BMW, Swiss driver. And so Mark Schurer out of the car, and Roddy Fielden, who owns this car, doesn't seem to be hurrying to get into it. They've got a problem at the back, and it may be that that car's going to have to be retired. So Mark Schurer brought it in. Yes, Roddy Fielden taking off his gloves. So it looks as though number 30 is out of the race. Meanwhile, the number 21 Ferrari, driven by Peter Hardman, that's the car that Bobby Rahal started. Peter Hardman now back at the wheel, and he is storming around because he wants to catch up with the back of this queue. That's the number 21 Ferrari. At the head of the queue, behind the very period Aston Martin DB5 safety car, is of course Emanuele Pirro in the number 25, that very pale grey lightweight E-type, and Derek Bell has brought the number 2 car in. It can be a rather cute time to stop for your driver change during the safety car, because it can be a good way of getting your pit stop over. Peter Raumann climbing back into the AC Cobra, vacated by Derek Bell, and the cars all queuing up with, after a couple of back markers, the second placed car, which is the Gerhard Berger lightweight E-type. Car number 9 in the pits, that's Jackie Oliver. There he is, he's just got out, he's handed over to the car's owner, Peter Thornton. Jackie Oliver with his maroon helmet with the white peak. And Peter Thornton doesn't seem to be in a great hurry to leave the pits. Is there a problem? Jackie Oliver shouting instructions through the window, and they have to give it a push. Jackie Oliver included, trying to get that car out of the pits again. They've got it running now, and Peter Thornton leaves the pits, or joins the queue to leave the pits. So let's recap on the order as the cars continue to circulate. 20 minutes left to go of this race. 20 minutes to go of the 60 minutes, and Emanuele Pirro, the leader in the number 25 E-type, Gerhard Berger in second place in the number 26 E-type. Then it's Jochen Mass in third place with the Lister Costin Coupe. They've got a splendid tractor just dragging that crippled Corvette away, and you can see, looks as though the rear suspension might have broken, because I think the tyre's intact, or pretty much. Well, it looks punctured, but it's either a tyre, perhaps it is, yes, it's a tyre off the rim, in fact. So that, sadly, was the end of John Young's drive. John Fitzpatrick, his co-driver, never got a chance to get into the car. So still, Pirro 1, Berger 2, those are the two lightweight E-types. Jochen Mass now in third place in the Lumsden Sargent Costin Lister Jaguar Coupe, which Justin Law didn't drive for very long. He handed it over very early to Jochen Mass, and Jochen Mass, there's the car on the screen just then, the rather lumpily bodied but very aerodynamically efficient Costin Coupe Lister. Jochen Mass has done most of the race in that car. 18 minutes left to run. They're still running behind the safety car. So the Lister is in third place. In fourth place, the Nicolas Manassian Patrick Tambay Cobra. And in fifth place, the number 24 Jaguar E-type, driven by David Franklin and Rupert Cleveley. The girls in the number 13 Daytona Cobra, they're in seventh place. Linsett James now in that car, started by Desiree Wilson. They're just behind sixth man Sean Lynn in the red AC Cobra, started by John Whitmore. Well, we're joined up in the commentary box by Derek Bell, who has been working extremely hard in the number 2 AC Cobra, which he started. Peter Ryman now out in the car. So, Derek, while you get your breath back, as the cars are going round behind the safety car, just let us know, what was it like up there? I think you had a few braking problems.
I didn't think you'd be noticing that by where I was, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I just have such admiration for all these heroes that race before me. I guess that's why there's not many left, because they all died driving these things. But I mean, it's unbelievable. After 5 laps, you're coming down the 11th straight, and your foot goes straight to the floor, and you think, lucky I've got a long braking area, I've got time to maybe find a gear and help me. And it sort of went on like that, and then I eventually fumbled around that. Obviously by pumping them, I could get brakes for the next corner, but the trouble is you wouldn't have any for the following one, so you come out of Woodcote, having stopped successfully from 150, you arrive at the chicane at 80 and it doesn't stop. And I had a real close look at that wicker fencing in the middle, to see if I could get through it. And it was like that every time. And so, you go around No Name Bend with the brakes working going into it, and then you get to the left-hander at St Mary's and St Mary's, and it wouldn't slow down at all, and it disappeared into the bales of straw. But it was character forming, I have to say.
Now, Derek, you've won Le Mans 5 times. You've driven the latest and the best sports racing cars and endurance cars right up to the end of your career, and your career hasn't ended because you're still out there racing. But these cars are 40 years old. You have to get into a sort of slightly different mental frame.
Absolutely. You expect anything to happen, and it usually does. And it has a mind of its own. I mean, you're tramping down what they call 11th straight, which, as you may well know, isn't a straight. Pace car's off, by the way.
Yes, the pace car pulls away, so Emanuele Pirro is able then finally to get the boot down in that pale grey ex-John Coombs E-type. The car started by Dario Franchitti. It's been pretty much at the head of this race the whole time. And the man who interests us is driving the number 31, the number 21 Ferrari 330 LMB. That was the car started by Bobby Rahal, because it's now got Peter Hardman at the wheel, and he's down in 13th place. He really lost out with the arrival of the safety car, because he had to go to the back of the queue, but he's going to start working his way through. So that is the lightweight E-type in the lead of Emanuele Pirro. Gerhard Berger in the Ludovic Lindsay started lightweight E-type in second place. And Jochen Mass, who's done most of the race in the Coupe Lister Jaguar, because Justin Law handed over to him early, he's up into third place, just ahead of Patrick Tambay in the number 5 Cobra. Then it's the David Franklin Rupert Cleveley lightweight E-type in 5th place. 6th is the Cobra of Sean Lynn. That's the car started by John Whitmore. And the girls in the number 13 Daytona Cobra, Desiree Wilson and now Lynn St James in that car. They're in 7th place. Derek, traffic must be a real problem, because these are big cars, they're fast cars, and it's not that wide a circuit.
I didn't have too much trouble, really. I didn't ever take anybody much. No, but actually I did for a while. But the biggest problem is assessing just how much room the car needs. And as I was saying just before the restart, as you come down the 11th straight, it isn't straight. And so you want to go down the right-hand side of somebody to get on the braking area. And if he wants to hold to the right-hand apex on the way down there, you can't nip out. There isn't time or room. And of course, you never know how well the brake's going to hold up as to whether you're going to get it through the corner on the inside. Now, you watch Peter Hardman, who loves being sideways, of course. And I drove that car 3 times here. And he's not likely to win it today, but we never won in that darn thing. It seems impossible to win it. It's really the finest car out there.
Well, Bobby Rahal certainly wrung its neck running in 3rd place, and then in 2nd place had that huge moment on the grass at St Mary's. And Peter Hardman going straight over the apex of the first right-hand section of St Mary's. Peter Hardman absolutely throwing that car around. I don't know if that's the quickest way to do it, but certainly Peter Hardman is a man who loves to get a grip of the car. Now, there's a lot of traffic ahead of him. He's got his headlights blazing because he wants to get a good passage through the traffic. Having the headlights on not only alerts the people in front, but it perhaps helps the marshals, who are the men who have to wave the blue flags, to realise that you are a quicker car. He's just lapping Gregor Fiskin in the GTO that was started by Joe Bamford. In fact, he hasn't lapped him yet, because down the straight these cars have similar performance. He, of course, is a further lap down, and there's a big spin for one of the E-types at Woodcote, but he's managed to get it going again. They're 3 abreast coming down into the chicane. Lots of tyre smoke from that spin. I didn't see which E-type it was, but it was, I think, an E-type that spun at Woodcote. Peter Hardman, headlights ablaze, but way down the field. He's in 12th place, actually, so it's not going to embarrass the E-types running at the front of the race. The 3rd placed car is Jochen Mass in the Lister Jaguar.
The problem for them, of course, is Peter's got to get by guys who are having a really tight race for position as well. And as it's getting towards the end of the race, everybody's sharpening up a bit and trying to retain their position early on. You don't mind letting the other guys by, but of course, in certain cases, Peter is actually a lap down, and so he's trying to make up time. They don't want to give him away their position, as you can see here.
Well, that's absolutely right, because he is running just behind car number 27, which is David Clark in the Project 212 Aston, and they are on the same lap. They're fighting for position, but Hardman now goes down the inside of the Aston Martin, effortlessly outbrakes it, but then gets so sideways coming out of the 2nd apex of Lavant before he gets the power down, goes through that left-hand kink that Derek was talking about on the Lavant straight, flat out there, and pounding up to about 155 miles an hour before he has to pound onto the brakes to get the car set up for Woodcote. And in fact, he is still behind Gregor Fiskin in the later model Ferrari GTO, the 1964 type GTO with the blue noseband, which indicates that it was one of Colonel Ronnie Hoare's cars from Maranello Concessionaires. But the Aston Martin is well behind. We've got about 10 seconds now between the 2 leading E-types. There is Emanuele Pirro in the car started by Dario Franchitti. He is in the lead, and almost exactly 10 seconds behind him with 10 minutes to go. Jochen Mass has come into the pits with the Lister Jaguar Costin Coupe. The door is open, and whatever the problem is, there doesn't seem to be a great feeling of haste around that car, and I would think it's starting to look as though its race may be run. That's a shame, because that car was running in third place, but now we've got the Patrick Tambay Cobra coming into third place, and he is about a further 9 seconds behind Gerhard Berger in second place. Emanuele Pirro, the leader, E-type. Gerhard Berger in second place, E-type. Nicolas Manassian's car, now driven by Patrick Tambay, in third place. That's the number 5 Cobra. And another Cobra, it's the Sean Lynn John Whitmore car, the in the Wilmot colours of red with the broad white stripes. That's in fourth place, ahead of Rupert Cleveley in the E-type started by David Franklin. There's our second place car now, Gerhard Berger.
I'd just like to say, I think if you just watch some of these close-up shots and you see those Jaguars, they have such superior handling. And then you watch Peter Hardman broadside area, which isn't always the quickest way around a track, but Peter is a great exponent of being sideways. And then you sort of watch, you know, Pirro going around almost not quite like a Scale X streak, but you watch this coming through here. I mean, just beautiful control, not too much effort. I mean, he's not that far ahead. I mean, he's got a nice barrier, but it's still not something you're going to hang around. And the car is so stable.
Yes, it's interesting if you look at the lap times that there are only 3 cars in this race now with 9 minutes left to run. 3 cars in this race are lapping in the 1:28s. Emanuele Pirro, whom we're looking at now in the pale grey E-type, using a little bit of grass as he comes out of Lavant Corner. Gerhard Berger in the dark green E-type that's in second place. And then Peter Hardman, who's a lap down on the leaders, but has managed to move up to 10th place. And he's right on the tail of Gregor Fiskin now, but off goes the number 24 E-type. That's Rupert Cleveley in the car started by David Franklin. So that's they were running. Where were they running? In
sixth place.
In sixth place, indeed they were. Thank you, Derek. Fifth place.
Fifth place, in fact.
And but whatever his problem was, it looks as though his race is run. So Pirro and Berger, the leaders. Patrick Tambay in third place. Sean Lynn in his Cobra, started by John Whitmore, is fourth. That number 5 Cobra. There it is, that's the Patrick Tambay car. He's got his headlights on as well, and the car weaving under braking as he goes into that long double apex right-hander at Madgwick Corner. There's the leader, a lovely long shot which shows you how the car slides as it comes through the first part of St Mary's, the right-hander, which Derek refers to as no-name corner. Then there's the left-hander, which is the end of St Mary's, and then down to Lavant. Derek, a lot of the corners here at Goodwood seem to have 2 apexes, both Lavant and Madgwick. They just go on and on.
Well, that's the amazing thing about this place. It's a very difficult track to get to know, and you have to be so committed to get the second part right. You have to be so committed to the first part, and of course that means you've got to know the track extremely well. And you can't take any chances because you're going to get bitten between the two. That's the problem. Interesting thing we just saw just now was the fact that obviously you saw the car of Manassian being chased. He's in third place, being chased by Peter Hardman. Hardman, of course, the lap behind, and of course Manassian's not going to give up that place very readily.
Absolutely. Well, that Cobra has been far and away the quickest Cobra, started by Manassian. Patrick Tambay in the car now, and both of these Frenchmen, one a French veteran, one a rising French star, have driven it absolutely on the limit. That's Gerhard Berger in the number 26 Jaguar, and there is the number 5 Cobra. And exactly as Derek says, look behind, not at the number 19 Ferrari, but the number 21 Ferrari. There it is, headlights blazing, the one with the yellow strip across the windscreen, because that is Peter Hardman, and he is in 9th place now. He's made up another place. He's closing on the number 19 Ferrari, which has got Mark Hales at the wheel. So that's a battle for 9th place. There's the number 6 Cobra. That's Sean Lynn. He's in 4th place. The red Cobra with the broad white stripes, the colours of John Wilmot Racing, who were a great force in the early 60s. Always Emanuele Pirro kicks up the dust coming out of the second part of Lavant Corner, using all the road in that beautiful Bernie Carl-owned ex-John Coombs lightweight E-type, the first of the lightweight E-types, built with a lot of Jaguar's help and raced so successfully by Roy Salvadori in particular. And then it carried on racing as a Team Red Rose car, gave Brian Redman a lot of his early victories. It's a car that's really been raced all its life.
Look at the times they're doing. They're still doing some cracking times out there.
And of course Jackie Stewart raced this car as well. We're celebrating Jackie Stewart's career here at Goodwood, also driven by Graham Hill. But this is the second placed car, started by Ludovic Lindsay, the great Gerhard Berger at the wheel. And Gerhard Berger always enjoys his racing. We've got 5 minutes left to run now of this race, and it's looking like a Jaguar 1-2, but Patrick Tambay is catching second man Gerhard Berger. According to the official lap times, he's not catching him very quickly, but he's catching him just fractionally, and that's keeping Gerhard Berger honest as we watch Berger go into the left hand. A little bit of smoke there. I don't know if it was rubber smoke from a locking brake, or whether it was oil smoke from that hard-worked 3.8 litre Jaguar engine. Here's the leading 3.8 litre Jaguar. That's Emanuele Pirro's car. And about 11.3 seconds between leader Pirro and second man Gerhard Berger. And another man who's going pretty well is the fourth placed Cobra. That's Sean Lynn's car, started by John Whitmore. And in fifth place, we've got Lynn St. James in the car started by Desiree Wilson. The two girls in the number 13 Daytona Cobra going very well there in fifth place. Emanuele Pirro starts his 36th lap, and there's just 3.5 minutes left to run. I would think this race is going to run another 2 laps and not much more. Number 26, Gerhard Berger. There's number 5. That is Patrick Tambay, really enjoying himself in this big, brutal French-owned Cobra. And that's Sean Lynn in the red Cobra, who is in fourth place, and he's been going extremely well. That was the car started by Sir John Whitmore with the fastback AC hard top, the long roof that goes all the way back to the end of the tail. Don't know if it helps the aerodynamics much, because an AC Cobra was never a particularly aerodynamic car, and that's why Carroll Shelby had the Daytona coupes built in the quest of the sort of aerodynamics that the E-types always enjoyed. Here comes Emanuele Pirro now in the number 25 car, and we've got about 2.5 minutes left to run of the 2005 RAC TT Celebration. Emanuele Pirro comes through Woodcote Corner. Very nice smooth line down to the chicane, skims the first wall, skims the second wall, gets back, little twitch as he comes out, gets back on the power, up into third gear, up into fourth gear briefly before he hits the brakes once more, changes down to third for Madgwick Corner, long, slightly bumpy corner. Tail of the car slides out noticeably. He puts on the opposite lock to catch it. There's the number 5 Cobra with Patrick Tambay at the wheel in third place now, and not making any impression anymore on Gerhard Berger, who is second in the number 26 E-type. Still Sean Lynn fourth, still Lynn St. James fifth in the Daytona Cobra. Still in sixth place, Rupert Cleveley in the second of Lord Cadre's 2 E-types in this race. And in seventh place, we've got the Aston Martin DB4 GT, started by Jackie Oliver. Very well placed, this car. I wasn't expecting it to go so well, but I was reckoning without Jackie Oliver's tremendous skill. He drove a long stint at the beginning of the race. He is up in seventh place, and Peter Hardman's got to 8th in the flying Ferrari 330 LMB, but I don't think he's going to get much further. They changed tyres on that car. It had a very long pit stop, and that's why Peter Hardman's so far down the field.
Yeah, that is the problem. The car loves being sideways. Oh, somebody spun at Woodcote.
Yes, there's a Corvette in the gravel there. One of the Corvettes has beached itself on the outside of Woodcote. Not a very nice place to stay, but this race is very nearly over. This has got to be the last lap. Dario Franchitti wearing a very period flat hat. You saw a glimpse of Dario. There he is watching the race from the pits. The car that he started is leading Emanuele Pirro. Gerhard Berger goes through in second place. There is our third place man, Patrick Tambay, in the French Cobra. But this is the last lap for Emanuele Pirro. Up that slight brow, then into the right-hander before St Mary's. Much neater line there than we were seeing from Peter Hardman earlier, and then just skims the apex, the curb on the left, slides the car out to the right of the road, lines it up for Lavant Corner, gets on the brakes. You can see the front wheels moving as he saws away at the wheel, under braking, the car just getting a little bit light under braking, and sort of looking quite out of shape by the second apex there. So that indicates that Emanuele Pirro is still trying extremely hard. Skims the apex of the little kink in Lavant Straight, and now you see the nose dip because he's already at Woodcote Corner for the final time. Emanuele Pirro comes through Woodcote Corner, lines up for a nice clear run into the chicane, skims the first wall, skims the second wall, hard on the power in second gear, up to third, up to fourth, and the checkered flag should be waiting for him. It is Emanuele Pirro in the car started by Dario Franchitti, wins. Congratulations in the pits there for Dario Franchitti. Bernie Carl's E-Type wins the 2005 RAC TT Celebration. Gerhard Berger with Ludovic Lindsay takes second place in his E-Type lightweight. There they are, the two E-Types going round together on the slowing down lap. In third place, a great drive from Patrick Tambay. You see the Cobra with its headlights still on in the middle. That's the car started by Nicolas Manassian, who came through from a fairly lowly grid position and just pushed and pushed, and then handed over to Patrick Tambay, who carried on the good work. Sean Lynn's Cobra, started by John Whitmore, is fourth. The girls come fifth. That's Lynn St. James and Desiree Wilson in their Daytona Cobra are fifth. And in sixth place, David Franklin and Rupert Cleveley in the second of Lord Cowdray's two Jaguar E-types. Derek, a quick word, a great race.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at those three coming round together, it was very close. You're not going to get an hour race that much closer, but it was very interesting, very exciting, and it's great to see the quality of the cars after all these years still doing such a magnificent job.
We look forward to seeing you back at Goodwood next year, perhaps with something with a bit more braking.
Yeah, I just love having brakes. I don't mind anything else, but gosh, I hate having no brakes. Thank you very much, anyway.
Emanuele Pirro being a little bit naughty as he waves to the crowd. Almost out of the car, but he's still prodding the accelerator. He's got to get back into that car in a minute. But he's so pleased. Emanuele Pirro wins with Dario Franchitti, with Gerhard Berger and Ludovic Lindsay second, and Nicolas Manassian and Patrick Tambay in the Cobra third. Thanks a lot, Derek. Stop. Yeah, he was on.
Incredible. Blowing kisses to the audience now, Emanuele Pirro.
You'd never guess he's Italian, Marcus, would you?
Even finds time to shake hands.
He's learned that trick from the bike
How did he
riders.
manage that with Richard Atwood in the Cobra number 3? I hope the Jag's going to make it home. It'd be a shame if he doesn't get the opportunity to come along and be interviewed. But there is the result of the RAC TT Celebration provisional result. First is 25 Dario Franchitti and Emanuele Pirro in Jaguar E-type. 1 hour No minutes, 53.987 seconds. Second, the number 26 Jaguar of Ludovic Lindsay and Gerhard Berger. Jaguar E-type on our screens, in fact. Third was the Nicolas Manassian Patrick Tambay AC Cobra. Fourth, that was number 5. Fourth, the Sir John Whitmore Sean Lynn. Number 6 AC Cobra. Fifth, the number 13 Shelby American Daytona Coupe of Desiree Wilson and Lynn St James. Didn't quite match the 4th place. That car finished here in the TT in 1964, but what a great effort by the girls. And in 6th place, the number 24 Jaguar of David Franklin and Rupert Cleveley. Has become Cleveley on our screen finally after showing Cowdery all race. And here comes Emanuele Pirro. Corvette's making its way back, the spun Corvette just driving down the grass, presumably so it can scatter any remaining bits of gravel, kitty litter, on the greensward rather than the track. And here comes Emanuele Pirro. Go wild, ladies and gentlemen. Show him your appreciation for a wonderful drive and a great showman. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And this gallant old warhorse for WPD coming up to an absolutely tumultuous welcome. Waves to everybody on top of the pits, waves to everybody in the grandstand. Emanuele Pirro, how's he going to stop it? Presumably he has to jump back inside.
Well, I'm going to steer slightly clear. The crowds down here are going mad. Emanuele has kept everybody waiting on the grid for him.
and he's jumped off.
Look, huge congratulations from his teammate, Dario Franchitti. Obviously, they are both thrilled. This was a hard-fought race for the two of them. But Emanuele is enjoying every moment of this. And I'm told that to present the awards for the TT race is going to be Tim Keown. He is chairman of the RAC club in London. And indeed, here he is with the garlands for the winners. First of all, presented to Dario Franchitti, and secondly to Emanuele Pirro. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to grab a quick word with both of you. First of all, Emanuele, you made the most of that last lap, didn't you? That victory lap around the circuit.
No, you know, I did not want to look. It was a joy for everybody. I want to thank everybody because it's a dream weekend, as you all know, and you know, I want to thank the March family, and I just want to share the joy with everybody because really this weekend we are all living a dream. And I just want to show how happy I was. And okay, Dario, my teammate, first time. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you come back?
If I get invited back, that was so much fun. I really do have to thank the March family as well. Thank the guys at GTO Engineering for preparing the car. Thank Bernie Carl for letting us drive his car. And thank everybody for coming out. This is brilliant. This is what racing's all about. And I've had a great time. So hopefully I'll see you next year.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause for our RAC TT winners, Emanuele Pirro and Dario Franchitti.